operates data storage as a service. So this is what your cloud storage is. Everything will be taken care of by your cloud service provider, and you are responsible just for uploading or using those storages. You are not really responsible for managing the underlying infrastructure or the storage devices where your data is getting stored. You are just using those services, right? Fine. That is what the cloud storage is. How does cloud storage work? So when they are talking about cloud storage, think of the S3 service here. Okay, it makes some sense because it is a good example of cloud storage. Cloud storage is purchased from third-party cloud vendor like AWS, who owns and operates the data center capacity and delivers it over the internet. So assume that this is the data center of AWS where they have kept their servers and the storage devices. And we are accessing those storages using our own user devices, maybe your mobile phone, maybe your laptop, maybe some other tablets from anywhere, right? So yes, accessing it from anywhere, even see, you can access it from the plane as well. Fine. So over the internet in pay-as-you-go model, these cloud storage vendors manage capacity, security, and durability to make data accessible to your application from around the world. What are the categories? Block storage, object storage, and file storage that we have seen already. But here on top of it, we are going to talk about the hybrid cloud storage services as well. Okay. So in that, we are going to talk about the storage gateway and some other options. Okay. So this we have not talked about earlier. Yes, we are going to see this storage gateway in this session. But yes, we have a good knowledge of elastic block storage, S3 Glacier, as well as elastic file system we are going to talk about. Okay, we have not seen elastic file system yet, but yes, that will be a new concept which we are going to learn here. Okay, so among this, you know very well elastic block storage, object storage, even the Glacier, and these two we are going to talk about in more detail in this section. Use cases for cloud storage. You are having a requirement for big data analytics type of system, data warehousing type of system, IoT, databases, backup and archive. So we can use cloud storage for that. Now, when to use which service? When to use which service? Which are the storage options provided in cloud? So in this scenario, I guess they have treated everything as a cloud storage. Elastic block storage, S3, Glacier, everything is considered as a cloud storage because we are using the services provided by AWS to store our data. So at high level overview, which service you are going to think about? So if you need persistent and block storage type of storage, okay, that works well for databases and your application. So in short, if your application is running on EC2 instance and that application you want storage for, okay, your EC2 instance is there and that EC2 instance is running some application and you want some storage for this application. So in that case, what we will do, we can use the elastic block storage. So this is the use case and this is the solution. Second, you want a scalable. Folks, read it carefully because every one is having some keyword associated with it. So that keyword takes you to a specific storage type. For example, you want scalable, durable storage that makes data accessible from anywhere on the internet. Anywhere on the internet. So that goes for S3. Elastic block storage is not accessible from anywhere, right? So unless and until you get attached yourself to the EC2 instance, because EBS storages are just accessible from EC2 instances, right? So that makes a difference. Okay. User-generated content, then archive, serverless computing, big data storage, and backup and recovery. So those are the keywords which goes for S3 service, or those are the use cases. Then we are having Glacier. So if you want to store your data for extended amount of time, okay, so maybe decades somewhere, sometimes. So then comes the archiving solution. So S3 is a good choice for that because it is a low cost storage. It is meant for long term backup and data archiving. Okay. Now, these are the one which we have not talked about earlier. We will be going to see this in much more detail today. So now the need is that you want a shared storage system to which concurrently your AWS EC2 instances as well as your on-premises resources should access it. Okay, what is the use case now? You want a centralized storage. A centralized storage to which concurrently thousands of EC2 instances should get connected to. Not only that, even your on-prem application should be able to access that storage. Okay. So see, we have seen S3, we have seen elastic block storage, but this is something a different use case now. So it is a centralized storage. Again, it is elastic. Okay. It is a elastic storage. You need not provision it. It is automatically going to grow and shrink as you go on keep putting data there, and you just pay whatever you are consuming. Okay. So that use case goes for elastic file system. Equivalent to that, there is FSS. Again, it is a file system type of storage. Okay, but it is for Windows application. EFS, if you read it carefully, it is for Linux workload. Okay, those is EC2 instances, which are thousands of EC2 instances or 5,000 of EC2 instances on premises, they must be using Linux operating system. Okay, so this is the elastic file system storage. So this is the use case. But if this is not Linux and this is Windows, then it is the FSX system. Same story. Okay. Again, FSX is a centralized storage. FSX is a centralized storage. So thousands of EC2 instances and on-premises devices can connect to it, but provided they are running Windows now. Okay. It is the Windows EC2 instances, FSX. It uses server manage message block type of protocol to use this storage. Then we are having storage gateway. Now it is a hybrid storage solution. So now here the need is you want to, you are having the application which are running in your on-premises. Okay, so now see what is the use case. You are having the applications running in your on-prem, and these application wants to use the AWS storage services. So it could be the S3 bucket, it can be the Glacier maybe. Okay. Now here you are going to use some hybrid solution, which is going to transfer your data from on-premises to AWS and vice versa. Okay. So this is known as the storage gateway. We are going to talk about it in little bit detail later on. So that is the storage gateway solution. Hybrid storage that augments your on-premises environment in AWS cloud storage. Hybrid storage for disaster recovery, price steering, as well as migration. So that was the very high level overview of those services. Now let us go a little bit in detail. So let me start with elastic block storage again. If you wish, you can download this PDF as well for your future reference maybe. It is a good document. Everything related to elastic block storage, you will find here. Okay. What we are going to see, instance store, elastic block storage, block level storage, object level storage, non-volatile storage, snapshot, data transfer, IOPS, volumes, provisioned IOPS, general purpose SSD, throughput optimized, and so forth. So lots of things we have already seen earlier. Some new terms are definitely going to come up here. Okay, but before I start with this one, let me just show you this. See, folks. So this is the configuration of storage. Not configuration, types of the storage in AWS. If you talk about storage in AWS, broadly it is classified in three types. Object storage, the service is S3. Block storage, we are having two types, instant store as well as elastic block storage. If you go for elastic block storage, again we are having two types there. Either you go for SSD, solid state drive, or you can go for hard disk drive. Okay, it is the magnetic equipment. It is the one which is the digital one, or we can say it is using the integrated circuits here. In SSD, again, we are having two types, general purpose as well as provisioned IOPS. It is just going to provide you the optimal, I will say, throughput speed and something, okay, and the storage. Then we are having the provisioned IOPS. And if you go for HDD, you can go for cold as well as throughput estimates. But this HDD category cannot be used as a root volume, okay? So if you want to use some root volume for your EC2 instances, you just have the option of SSD. And in SSD, then you can select whether you want to go for general purpose or provisioned IOPS. And then we are having the file storage. In file storage, we are having two options again, EFS as well as FSS. Okay, I think everybody is very comfortable to this. We are going to go in little bit detail of this, but yes, at a high level overview, agar aapko storage dekhna hai AWS ka, all the storage options, so this is how it works. Here we have not included any hybrid solution, but I'm just created this. I have created this for just the storage one, okay, to elaborate the storage. Now let us go here and let us start. Now these are the storage services which are available with AWS. Storage, elastic block storage, S3, S3 Glacier, as well as elastic file system. Okay. So these are the sub-services that comes under the storage category. Okay. Now, elastic block storage is persistent storage. Okay. And instant store is something which is ephemeral or the temporary storage. So the basic difference, can anybody tell me what is instant store? Anybody? Yes. What do you mean by instant store? आप बता सकते हैं मुझे आपकी own words में, own language में, what is your understanding about instant store? We have seen it earlier. Multiple times we have talked about this. Can anybody recall it?
Actually, a storage where instance can store.
Yes. It is the... Okay, let me see. Somebody has given me the answer. Which is connected with server. Yes, Gaurav. Yes, I agree with Gaurav. It is connected with server. See, now, if you want to just understand it very correctly, it serves internal storage. Yes, yes. But you need to express it if it is the interview question, okay? You must put it in a very good way so that it is clearly understood. Very good try, Gaurav. Okay, your answer is very perfect. Let me explain. Okay. If we talk about instant store, so see this way. When we launch our EC2 instance, it sits on top of the physical server. Now, when we say this is a physical server, it is having its own CPU, it is having its own RAM, and it is having its own storage as well. Because this is the physical server, right? It is the physical server which is there in the data center. Data center is in availability zone is in region. and we are here. We are launching our EC2 instance. Now, if you select the category as for storage, it's instance store. Now, this EC2 instance is going to take storage from the same physical server with where it is getting created. Okay. So in instance store, the EC2 instance uses the storage of the same physical server on top of which it is getting created. This is the instance store. Now, what is the advantage? Advantage is that you will get good IOPS speed because your server, your storage is local to your server. That is the correct answer which Gaurav has given me. Okay. So it is the same storage from the same physical server. Okay. So IOPS will be fast. Input outputs operation will be very high here. But there are certain disadvantages as well. Now, what is the disadvantage? If this instance stopped or terminated, okay, if this, let us say you stop this instance and you start it again, then you know what will happen? This storage means whatever storage, whatever data you have stored here, okay, so it will no more be there. Your data will get deleted as well. So that is the reason it is known as ephemeral. Okay. This is known as ephemeral storage. It is known as temporary storage. It is known as volatile storage because it is not there forever, right? It is not going to get persisted. So this is what happens. Even if you remember, I have shown you the demonstration of this as well, right? So how to create this instance store. So that was demonstrated by me earlier. So yes, this is what your instance storages. Use cases, it is just used for buffer type of storages, scratch pad or something. Okay, so you do not want to retain that data for long duration, then you use instance store. Then second storage is elastic block storage. Here what is happening, your EC2 instance is going to use the external storage. Now it is attached to this EC2 instance. It is just like the network attached storage. Now it is not part of that physical server maybe on top of which your EC2 instance is created, right? So this is the physical server and this is the EC2 instance which is sitting on top of it. But now this is not using the storage from the same physical server. Rather, it is using some external storage. And as we have seen earlier as well, you can compare it with the pen drive or maybe you can compare it with the USB hard disk. Okay, so even if this gets stopped or terminated, you can retain your data. But to go a little bit deeper, now let me talk about this EC2 instance will have two types of elastic block storages. One is the root volume and another is the data volume. Now this data volume will be the optional one if you want to add it, right? But yes, this root volume will always come up when you launch your EC2 instance. And this is going to store your AMI. Okay, so it is as good as your C drive because it is holding your operating system file, right? And these data volumes can be compared with the D drive, E drive, which is just used to store your data, your user created data. Okay, now what is the default nature, you know? The default nature. Now let us say this example that you are having this EC2 instance. It is having the root volume attached to it and it is also having the data volume attached to it. So this is as good as your D drive or E drive and this is as good as your system drive. System drive, root drive, boot drive, whatever you call it. Now the default nature is that if this EC2 instance is stopped, nothing will happen with your data. Okay, it will persist. Nothing will happen for this as well as this. No problem. But if this EC2 instance gets terminated, okay, then the default nature is that it will also get terminated. But this will be persisting. Nothing will happen with this. The default nature is that your root volume will get deleted. But even if you don't want this, आपको root volume को भी delete नहीं होने देना है. Even if you want, if your EC2 instance get deleted maybe accidentally, then there is an option. Okay, and that option is there when you launch your EC2 instance. So let me quickly show you that. If I just go to my Oregon region. Yes, perfect. Disable, delete on termination. Perfect, Gaurav. Yeah, you are very well preparing for your interviews as well as your examination. Very good. So if you go to this region maybe, and if you simply go for launch instances, अगर उसे देखते हैं तो कभी नहीं भूलोगे. ओके, सो मेरी थेरी देख के वो भूल जाते हैं. बट इफ यू सी ना, इफ आई एम जस्ट गोइंग टू लॉन्च दिस इंस्टेंस एंड इफ आई जस्ट गो टू स्टोरेज हियर, you can see this storage. So this is the root volume. By default it is not encrypted even. Okay, ये छोटी छोटी चीजें है जो एग्जामिनेशन सर्टिफिकेट हायर लेवल के एग्जामिनेशन में बहुत मैटर करती है, नॉट एट दिस लेवल. ओके, बाय डिफॉल्ट से रूट वॉल्यूम एनक्रिप्टेड नहीं है, लेकिन अगर आप चाहते हो तो आप उसे एनक्रिप्ट भी कर सकते हैं. नाउ सी, सो बाय डिफॉल्ट इट इज नॉट एनक्रिप्टेड, आई कैन एनक्रिप्ट इट. And see, delete on termination is yes here. So if you select no, this is the answer given by Gaurav. Yes, if you select no here, then what will happen? Even if you terminate this instance, ये जो root volume है ये persist होता है. It will not get deleted as well. Okay, and in that case, what can be done? अगर वो EC2 instance terminate भी हो जाता है, you can launch new EC2 instance and you can attach this volumes to that instance. You will have all your data. So this is what your elastic block storage is. But now certain things are very crucial for this elastic block storage. Elastic block storage stores data in single availability zone. Now what exactly it means? So if I have created this elastic block storage volume and I want to attach it to the EC2 instance, and let us say this elastic block storage volume is created in availability zone A of Oregon region. And if I want to attach this to EC2 instance, then this EC2 instance also has to be in the same region and the same availability zone. Otherwise, इसे directly attach नहीं कर सकते हैं. You cannot attach the EBS volume directly to the EC2 instance if both of them doesn't belong to the same availability zone. Okay, forget about region. So ये अगर different region में create किया है, let us say Singapore region. Okay, so definitely it is not possible to attach it to the EC2 instance which is created in Oregon region. And there comes something which is known as a snapshot. Now we have already seen this one, right? That was the snapshot option. So now the use case is that you are having the EC2 instance in Singapore region, and now this elastic block storage is in Oregon region. Now, how are you going to attach this volume to this instance? By default, it is not possible. The process is that first you are going to create a snapshot. It is point in time incremental backup snapshot. So once the snapshot is created, again, it will remain in the same availability zone, same region. Now you can copy. Okay, you can copy this snapshot to Singapore region. Now again, it is just a snapshot. You cannot attach snapshot directly to the EC2 instance. So snapshot copy ho gaya. From that snapshot, you create the volume again. And once you create the volume, आपको वो ही availability zone लेना है while creating the volume जिसमें आपका EC2 instance created है. Okay, and in that case, what you can do, once it is done, you can attach it. So whatever data was there in this elastic block storage now will be available here. Okay, use through this volume. So this is the process. This is known as snapshot and creating the snapshot. Now this snapshot creation can be automated using something which is known as DL, Data Life Cycle Policy, DLP. So you can schedule the creation of the snapshot. Now see, EC2 instance है और ये elastic block storage है, ये use में है, data is getting created here, it is not detached. Okay, so now even though you can create the snapshot scheduling here. So let us say 9 AM पे पहला snapshot लिया है, 10 AM. So whatever changes are happening here, only those changes will get added. Okay, that is what is known as incremental. Incremental का मतलब है सिर्फ changes ही copy किए जाते हैं. Every data is not going to get copied and overwritten. Okay, so for example 9 बजे 1 फाइल था यहाँ. So 9 बजे के बैकअप में फर्स्ट फाइल आ गया. 11 AM समथिंग आपने एक दूसरा फाइल क्रिएट किया. So जब 11 between let us say 9 to 11. So next जो स्नैपशॉट आएगा 11 बजे का, उसमें सिर्फ दूसरा फाइल कॉपी किया जाएगा. ओके, सो फर्स्ट फाइल विल नॉट गेट ओवर रिटन अगेन एंड अगेन अनलेस एंड अनटिल उसे मॉडिफिकेशन कुछ किया है. अगर उसमें कुछ मॉडिफिकेशंस है तो यस, देन अगेन वो मॉडिफिकेशंस या कॉपी किए जाते हैं. ओके, सो दिस इज व्हाट योर इलास्टिक ब्लॉक स्टोरेज स्नैपशॉट एंड द लाइफ साइकिल. I hope it is clear now what is persistent and so forth. So beneath the scene क्या होता है जब हम बोलते हैं कि ब्लॉक स्टोरेज है. Now consider this. Okay. How you use this block storage? Something like this. Let us say you are having a file, okay, and you want to store this file in your hard disk. Hard disk is the best example of elastic block storage. लेकिन क्या होता है? What your file system will does? It will create small pieces of this file, and every piece will have some number, and those pieces, now if it is your hard disk, these are different parts of your hard disk, so these are known as blocks, equal pieces of the data. And वो जो blocks है अभी different जगह आपके hard disk में save किए जाते हैं. Okay, so it is not the entire file intact. Okay, so उसके छोटे छोटे टुकड़े करके different locations में उसे store किया जाता है. When somebody is retrieving the file, फिर से उसे क्रिएट करके आपको प्रेजेंट किया जाता है. सो दिस इज एक्चुअली हैपनिंग इन अवर हार्ड डिस्क. ओके, नाउ लेट अस से आपने फाइल को मॉडिफाई किया है. सो मॉडिफाई किया मींस आपने एग्जैक्टली क्या किया? लेट अस से यहाँ एक स्पेलिंग गलत था, वो स्पेलिंग आपने चेक किया. सो व्हाट योर फाइल सिस्टम विल डू, इट विल जस्ट सी कि ये कौन से पार्ट पे सेव था. ओके, सो वो जो चेंज है सिर्फ उसे कॉपी किया जाता है, बाकी किसी भी पार्ट को कुछ भी नहीं किया जाएगा. Only the changes will get modified. Okay, so this is what the block storage is, and this is what they are trying to explain here as well. In block storage, change one block piece of the file that contains the character. पूरा file overwrite नहीं किया जाता है. लेकिन in object storage what happens, the entire file gets uploaded. So that we have seen earlier as well, right? So जब हम S3 bucket create करते हैं और उसमें जब file upload करते हैं, the entire file gets overwritten, and okay, the entire file gets overwritten. वो हमने बहुत बार देखा भी है और फिर हमने versioning feature भी उसमें देखा था. Okay, so depending upon your storage requirement, you can select the type of the storage, whether you want to go for block level or whether you want to go for the object. This difference has a major impact on the throughput, latency, as well as cost of your storage solution. Okay, what if you want to change one character in 1 GB of file? बहुत बड़ा फाइल है, 1 GB का फाइल है, उसमें सिर्फ एक स्पेलिंग आपका गलत हुआ है, वो आप करेक्ट करना चाहते हो. क्या होता है? विथ ब्लॉक स्टोरेज यू नीड टू चेंज ओनली द ब्लॉक दैट कंटेन्स द कैरेक्टर. लेकिन ऑब्जेक्ट स्टोरेज में क्या होगा? वो पूरा का पूरा 1 GB फाइल फिर से ओवरराइट किया जाएगा. राइट? The key concept of understanding the difference between storage type is knowing whether they offer block level storage or object level storage. Why this is important? The difference has major impact on the throughput, latency, and cost of your storage solution. Block storage solutions are typically faster and use less bandwidth. Now see, अभी आपको अगर block storage यूज करना है, so आप वो सेम अवेलेबिलिटी जोन में है जहां आपका EC2 इंस्टेंस है, एंड दैट्स व्हाई दैट सॉल्यूशन विल बी द फास्टर वन. लेकिन अगर आपको S3 स्टोरेज यूज करना है, मे बी आपका EC2 इंस्टेंस S3 स्टोरेज में बैकअप ले रहा है या कुछ स्टोरेज यूज कर रहा है, देन इट नीड्स टू एक्सेस द इंटरनेट, और इंटरनेट के थ्रू S3 सर्विस एक्सेस किया जाता है. राइट? एंड दैट इज व्हाई फिर उसमें लेटेंसी आने वाली है और कुछ प्रॉब्लम आने वाली. Okay, so let us go through it quickly now. EBS provides persistent block storage volumes. Each EBS volume is automatically replicated, लेकिन सिर्फ within the availability zone. Okay, so it automatically gets replicated within the availability zone. With EBS, you can scale your storage up or down within minutes. Yes, if you want to increase it, you can increase it as well. But it is a provisioned storage. Now, what do you mean by provisioned storage? जब आप EBS storage बनाते हो, you have to mention the size. For example, 2 GB, 5 GB, 2 terabyte, and whatever you have provisioned for, you are paying for that, whether you are using it or not. अगर आपने 2 टेराबाइट का वॉल्यूम बनाया है तो आपको 2 टेराबाइट स्टोरेज के लिए पे करना है. इन एट दैट टाइम यू कैन नॉट से that out of that 2 terabyte I have just used 1 GB. No, it will not work. This is the example of provisioned storage. Okay. It is also known as non-volatile storage. EBS volume is automatically replicated within its availability zone to protect you from component failure, offering high availability and durability. EBS volumes offer consistent, low latency performance that you run on your workload. EBS, you can scale your uses up or down within minutes, all while paying for only the resources that you provision. Okay, so multiple use cases has been given here. Okay, so what are the uses? It can be used as boot volume and storage for EC2 instances. So that is the data volume. Boot volume means storing the operating system file, AMI. Data storage with file system, database host, as well as some enterprise application. These can use this elastic block storage. Snapshot, encryption, as well as elasticity. Just now we have seen we can change the capacity within minutes, right? So if you want to increase the size or decrease the size, you can do that. By default, it is not encrypted. लेकिन अगर आप चाहते हो, so you can enable the encryption as well. Okay. Snapshot, these are the point in time incremental backup. You can recreate the volume from the snapshot anytime. Cost. Beneath the scene, snapshots are also consuming the storage, right? It is snapshot, they are using the storage, and that is why कि आपको storage का cost bear करना पड़ेगा if you are creating the snapshot. And beneath the scene, ये जो snapshot होते हैं वो S3 bucket में store किए जाते हैं. इसलिए आपका storage cost जो बढ़ेगा, that will be the GBs per month if you are storing the snapshot. Data transfer. Now just you are copying the snapshot from, let us say, Oregon region to Singapore region. So data transfer charges will also be there. What are the volume types? General purpose. So charged by the amount you provision in GB per month until storage is released. So this is what the general purpose is. Magnetic. So as I told you, this magnetic is not used for root volume. It is just like the hard disk type of storage, right? Charged by the number of requests to the volume, and provision IOPS charged by the amount you provision in IOPS by percentage of day or month that is used. So the charges are depending upon the storage you provision. Okay. And per day, per month calculations will be there. These are the categories: solid state drives as well as hard disk drive, as I have already shown you in my on my whiteboard. So provisioned IOPS, general purpose. They are identified by IO1 provisioned IOPS, and general purpose SSD is identified with GP2. Hard disk drive ST1 throughput optimized as well as cold HDD. This is just meant for, I will say, archival type of storage. बहुत दिनों तक data आपको रखना है. The storage cost is very less for cold HDD. Okay. Yeah. It is backed by the hard disk drive and provides the lowest cost per GB for the EBS volume. Just like Glacier. Glacier हम S3 में use करते हैं, right? So equivalent to that Glacier, we are having this cold HDD in elastic block storage. It is used for less frequently accessed workload with large cold data sets, huge amount of data. And these are the things. Okay, so you should verify it first, okay, because sometimes it is this contents may be not updated one. Okay, so yes, for solid state drive, what is the maximum volume size which is permissible? 16 terabytes. Again, 16 terabytes is here. IOPS per volume, 10,000 for general purpose, 32,000 for provisioned IOPS. And you know that is the reason it is used for databases. For hard disk drive, it is just 500 and 250, very less throughput. 160 megabytes per second accessing for solid state, 5 megabytes per second accessing speed for provisioned IOPS, and it is like this. So depending on your requirement, you can use the types. What are the use cases? General purpose, recommended for most of the workloads. It is used as boot volumes for virtual desktops, low latency interactive application, and some development and test environment. Provisioned IOPS, good for relational databases or input-output intensive workload. No SQL databases. See, if you are planning to use relational database, go for, or even the DynamoDB, I will say. Okay, non-relational database, you can think of using the provisioned IOPS instead of using the general purpose. Then we are having this one, throughput as well as cold. Streaming workloads that require consistent fast throughput at low price. So whenever the low price option will come here, you can think of throughput optimized as well as cold. Big data, data warehouses, log processing, it cannot be boot volume. Even it cannot be boot volume. Okay. So these are the use cases. So demonstration, I think I have already given it to you earlier. Okay. You remember it. And anyway, you are going to have the lab as well. But in that lab, you will be using the command line interface. Okay. So using the command line interface, you are going to create the volume, EBS volume. You are going to mention the size. You are going to mention the availability zone and the type, general purpose or maybe provision, IOPS, whatever you want. Once it is created, you can use the option describe volume, and in that you provide the volume ID. So here when the volume gets created, your output will show you that volume ID. Okay. And if you want to see that, then you can use the one and you will get all the details. Describe volumes. Attaching the volumes. After you create a volume, you can attach it to an instance in the same availability zone. So this is very important. Creating the snapshot. Now here they are using again the CLI. So see, snapshot 1, snapshot 2, and snapshot 3. So it is not overwriting the files again and again maybe. Okay, so only the changes are there. How to create the snapshot? You can use this command line interface. Otherwise, you can go for graphical. So AWS EC2 create snapshot, your volume ID and the description. The output will be something like this. Okay, you are going to do it. Don't worry. Copying the snapshot and proof of your copy. So you want to copy the snapshot from, let us say, one region to another region. So then you are going to select this one. For see, AWS EC2 copy snapshot -- region US East 1 -- source region. So first region means the destination region. And source region means from where you are copying it, right? So it means that from Oregon region, you are copying it to North Virginia. So source snapshot ID and the description. The output will be something like this. The description will be copied. Okay. A description will be there in your snapshot as well. By default, yeah, snapshot will be, description will be there. By default, it is not encrypted. If you want, you can encrypt it as well. Restoring the snapshot means creating the volume back from that snapshot. So EC2 create volume, and while creating the volume, you can mention the size as well. You can increase the size. Definitely, you cannot decrease the size, but you can increase the size. For example, if the snapshot was of 1 GB and now you are creating the volume from that snapshot, you can increase the size. You can make it 2 GB, 3 GB, whatever you want. You can mention the availability zone in which you want to create that volume. Most probably, you are just going to select that availability zone in which your EC2 instance is running, so that you can attach that volume to that EC2 instance. Restoring the snapshot, creating volume back from that snapshot. Managing EBS volume with a life cycle policy. So use data lifecycle manager, DLM. We call it as DLP as well, data lifecycle policy, to automate the creation, retention, and even deletion of your snapshot. So you can schedule it and you can create the data lifecycle policy using this service, DLM. It is not a separate service. On the left-hand side of your EC2 dashboard, you will see this lifecycle policy. Okay. So if you want to go a little bit detail of that, you can always go through this documentation. And this is the command line. AWS DLM create default role. So first of all, this will need the permission, right? Because you are creating the lifecycle policy, which is going to access your elastic block storage. And for that, the role will be required. So to that role, we will definitely assign some permissions as well. So these are the permissions which are there for the role. So you can create lifecycle policy to manage backups of the elastic block storage, and you can generate a JSON file before creating the policy to policy detail. Okay, same story again. Just the commands has been given. Okay, so if you go through this, we have done everything using the console. Okay, but here they have done everything using the command line. And yes, in your lab as well, you are going to do everything using the command line interface. Okay, so don't forget to watch this demonstration once. This is a short video. Watch this. And now let me start with this option. Okay, actually it is the lab. And whatever we have seen in the earlier module, you are going to use it. Okay, so all the hands-on will be here. So what you are going to do, let us see step by step. You are going to create the EBS volume. You can attach and mount your volume to EC2 instance. You are going to create the snapshot of your volume. You are going to create a new volume from the snapshot, and you can attach and mount the new volume to the EC2 instance. So folks, if you remember, everything, each and every step has been demonstrated by me earlier. You want me to demonstrate it again, or is it fine if I proceed? Just tell me. If you want me to show it again, I will definitely show you. But if you are recalling everything, we can proceed further. Just tell me what do you want?
We will do the lab. We will perform it.
Okay, good. No problem. आप खुद परफॉर्म करके देखो, और अगर फिर से कुछ प्रॉब्लम आता है तो लेट मी नो. ओके, फाइन, नो प्रॉब्लम. Okay, so create new EBS volume attached to the EC2 instance, create and configure your file system, create snapshot. Everything is very simple. So try to perform this lab. So these are the actual lab steps here, but the difference will be here they must have taken everything using the command line interface. That is the only difference. I have shown you using the graphical user interface. But if you directly go for command line interface, it makes very difficult, right, to understand it. And that is always a good practice. पहले graphically अगर आपको समझ में आया, then you can relate कि ये command इसके साथ relate कर रही है, ये action के साथ relate कर रही है. Okay, so this is what the lab is. EC2 instance, it is having the EBS volume attached, and you are going to create the snapshot, and then you are going to attach it to another instance. What is the objective? Create EBS volume, attach and mount the EBS volume, create the snapshot, and then create the EBS volume from the snapshot. Okay, 45 minutes lab is there, but perform it. And as I told you, everything is through command line interface here. That is the only challenge. That is the only challenge. Otherwise, the lab is very simple. Okay, fine. Don't worry, I will be talking about this command. So you must be thinking, ye kya hai? Mount and something, right? So don't worry, what exactly this is. So जब हम elastic file system करने वाले हैं, at that time we are going to come across this. Okay, don't worry, we will be looking at this as well. Okay, folks, then try yourself. If you face any difficulty, please let me know. I will perform it for you. Then the second topic is instance store. We have already seen it, right? पहले ही हम देख चुके हैं instance store का. So just let us quickly go through it. Okay, let us see quickly. It's not a big topic. It is non-persistent. Again, block level storage. It is non-volatile memory express. It is also known as NVMe. Non-volatile. Little bit confusing. Okay, actually, it is a volatile storage. It is a volatile storage. Okay, it will not be. Okay, I think I'm myself got confused little bit in volatile and non-volatile word. Fine, forget about it. So just we will go through it. It provides temporary block level storage for your instance. This storage is located on disks that are physically attached to the host computer. Yes. It is block level storage. It is ephemeral. And see, here they are using the word volatile again. Yes, it is volatile. Ephemeral storage, it is volatile. इसका मतलब है वो persist नहीं करता है, delete हो जाता है. And that is the reason it is also known as temporary. It is non-persistent and block level storage. It is something like this. See, ये data center में कुछ storage है, and maybe they are using the RAID, redundant array of independent disk. ये storage array है. So you know about it. See, we have not talked about it any time before, but you know, in the data center, you know, let us say this is the server. और जब हम ये बात कर रहे हैं कि ये फिजिकल स्टोरेज होता है सर्वर का, सो डू यू थिंक इट इज जस्ट द हार्ड डिस्क? डेफिनेटली नॉट. इट इज नॉट द single hard disk. You know, it is using the redundant array of independent disk. It is known as RAID. Now, these hard disks can be minimum of 16 means number. It can minimum be 16 hard disk of any maximum capacity you are having. आज मार्केट में कितने ज्यादा कैपेसिटी की हार्ड डिस्क अवेलेबल है? ओके, सो जस्ट थिंक ऑफ इट. लेट अस से इट इज some 50 terabytes or something. Okay, so 50 terabytes के 16 minimum 16, maximum it can be 32 और उससे भी ज्यादा. You just imagine आपको स्टोरेज बढ़ाना है. Okay, so just think about the फेसबुक सर्वर. कितने लोग फेसबुक में डेटा स्टोर करते हैं? सो इज इट पॉसिबल कि उसका एक सिंगल हार्ड डिस्क है? आज मैक्सिमम कैपेसिटी लेटर से 50 टेराबाइट है. सो क्या वो 50 टेराबाइट में अकोमोडेट हो सकता है इतने लोगों का डाटा? डेफिनेटली नहीं. सो व्हाट इज हैपनिंग? दे आर क्रिएटिंग समथिंग विच इज नोन एज रिडंडेंट अरे ऑफ इंडिपेंडेंट डिस्क. ओके, सो इट इज जस्ट connecting all those storages. So now think, 50 टेराबाइट, दिस इज जस्ट द एग्जांपल ना. 50 टेराबाइट की एक हार्ड डिस्क है और अभी ये मल्टीपल्स ऑफ 100, मल्टीपल्स ऑफ 200 हार्ड डिस्क आप एक साथ कनेक्ट कर रहे हो, एंड देन इट इज लॉजिकली जस्ट लाइक अ सिंगल स्टोरेज. दिस इज हाउ द ह्यूज स्टोरेज गेट्स क्रिएटेड. ओके, हमारे लिए वो हार्ड डिस्क अलग अलग है. ओके, दीज आर द 15 100 हार्ड डिस्क, डिफरेंट हार्ड डिस्क. लेकिन जब हम उन्हें रेड में डालते हैं, रिडंडेंट अरे ऑफ इंडिपेंडेंट डिस्क, यू नो, ये जस्ट स्टोरेज सब कंबाइन हो जाता है एंड यू गेट सच अ ह्यूज स्टोरेज. सर्वर्स ये स्टोरेज यूज करते हैं. सो इफ यू सी इन दिस पिक्चर व्हेन दे आर टॉकिंग अबाउट द स्टोरेज, सो beneath the this I will say terminal, you can see this one, right? So this is nothing but the redundant array, I will say. ये पूरे हार्ड डिस्क का आई डोंट नो मीन्स एक्चुअली वो किसे रिलेट कर रहा है, बट इफ इट इज रिलेटेड टू द रिडंडेंट अरे देन इट इज द डिस्क सबसिस्टम, जिसे हम डिस्क सबसिस्टम बोलते हैं. ओके, सो एक सर्वर है जो पीछे इतना सारा स्टोरेज यूज कर रहा है. एंड नाउ लेट अस से यू आर लॉन्चिंग द EC2 इंस्टेंस जो है इंस्टेंस स्टोर टाइप वाला, एंड देन it can use the storage space from the same physical server. Okay. So yes, we have seen it. It is non-persistent. It is very fast because the storage is local to the server. It is reclaimed when the instance is terminated. Okay. They do not have their own application programming interface. Instance stores volume are specified by using the block device mapping feature of EC2 instance. So कैसे select किया जाता है instance store? If you just go to the launch instance, you know. If you go to instance type, let me see whether it is showing me here. So if I go to this instance type, so here I can see, it is using HDD, it is using SSD, something like this. Let me see whether it is showing me instance store here. Okay, possibility is very less, but let us see. Let me search it. I cannot tell you exactly that this is the instance store. But anyway, what I have shown you earlier, when you just launch your EC2 instances, if you go to the EC2 dashboard, from here we can see directly that whether it is the instance store or whether it is the elastic block storage. Now, if I just go for any AMI, okay, so if I just select any AMI here, this AMI. Okay. So here you can see the root device type is elastic block storage, right? So you can see, look at my cursor. It is showing me it is the elastic block storage root device. Not only this, यहाँ देखो EBS, root device is EBS, 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 everything is EBS here. But now I am not interested in this EBS, right? I want to go for instance store. So what I can do, I will go for this AMI, and right now I will just go for the community AMI. And here I will just search for instance store. These are very costlier one. Okay, these are not free. And now if you see here instead of showing that elastic block storage, it is showing us device type as root device type as instance store. Okay, instance store, and all the instance store. But let me tell you, a smaller version t2.micro and something will not support this one, right? So आपको जो instance type लेना है वो बड़ा ही होना है यहाँ. Okay, so t2.micro will not support this instance store. So see, if I simply select this. And now if I go to my instance type, now I have selected instance store, right? I have selected instance store here. And if I go here, I cannot use that t2.micro. I cannot use that t2.micro. So at the minimum, I can select the one. These are not at all supported. Let me select, for example, t2.micro. It will not show me. Okay, it is not possible to select this because it supports elastic block storage. It doesn't support instance store. So for the time being, it is just showing me this option, D2.8 time extra large. And you know, it is the costlier option, right? So this is what the EC2 instance storage is. Okay. Some instance types do not support instance store volume. That was what I was trying to tell you. T2.micro नहीं support करेगा, right? सब advanced level वाले ही आपको use करने पड़ेंगे. Please read this once, okay, folks? What are the use cases? Because you know it is the temporary. So the use cases is temporary storage of information that is continually changing, buffers, caches, scratch data, or some other temporary content. Data that is replicated across a fleet of instances. So load balancer pool of web servers. So that is again the use case. Okay. Now let us talk about elastic file system and I will give you demonstration of that. Okay, let us start. Now here we are going to talk about EFS, performance mode, storage class. Yes, again, storage classes are here. Now, I think this is the first time we are going through this topic in detail. Okay. So what do you mean by burst link, throughput mode, and so forth? So all these topics we are going to cover here. It is scalable, fully managed. Again, a keyword. It is fully managed, scalable, elastic, network file system storage. It is NFS type of storage for use with cloud services and on-premises resources. As I told you already, thousands of EC2 instances from your AWS as well as some Linux machines running in your on-premises can access this storage concurrently, simultaneously, at the same time. Okay, now what are the features? It is petabyte scale of data. It is going to scale in size, petabyte till petabyte, 80 petabytes or something. Low latency file system. So you will have a very low latency. So you will get good input outputs operations per second speed. That is what the low latency is. The capacity is elastic. Now, what do you mean? It is not just going to increase. Even if you deleted the data, the capacity will shrink and you are paying whatever you are consuming. It uses NFS protocol. Now, this is the Linux proprietary protocol, NFS protocol. And that is the reason this EFS is used with the Linux instances, compatible with all Linux-based AMIs for Amazon Elastic Compute Cloud. So EC2 instances must be running Linux operating system if they want to use this storage. Okay, so see, compatible with all Linux-based EC2, it supports NFS, it is petabyte scale system as well as it is a shared file storage. It is elastic. It provides simple, scalable, and elastic file storage for multiple servers. Dynamic elasticity grows and shrinks automatically, and it is a fully managed. Okay, you need not worry about what is there beneath the scene. आपको वो servers manage करने की जरूरत नहीं है. Just like S3 हम use करते हैं beneath the scene. Those are servers only. Okay, but we are not responsible for that servers because again S3 is a fully managed service. Similarly, this EFS is also a fully managed service. Now, these are the performance attributes of your elastic file system. Now, in throughput, we are having bursting throughput as well as provisioned throughput. Now, what exactly you mean by the word bursting? Now, this concept is something like this. See, sometimes it becomes confusing, but I will try my best to explain this option. Now, let us say in different scenario, I'm giving this option. Let us say आपने 2 terabyte का storage यूज किया है, लेकिन टाइप आपने लिया है bursting. एंड नाउ अभी आप जो स्टोर कर रहे हो वो 2 टेराबाइट से ज्यादा हो रहा है. ओके, मे बी आपका स्टोरेज जो है वो ये साइज से थोड़ा बढ़ रहा है. सो क्या होगा, इफ इट इज द बर्स्टिंग कैपेसिटी, यू नो, इट इज ऑटोमेटिकली गोइंग टू इंक्रीज. ओके, इट इज ऑटोमेटिकली गोइंग टू इंक्रीज डेफिनेटली, बट इसे बोला जाता है बर्स्टलिंग. ओके, एंड इन दैट केस इट विल बी लिटिल बिट लोअर विथ स्पीड. सो आपको आपका परफॉर्मेंस ये बर्स्टलिंग के टाइम impact हो सकता है. Okay, because see, from 2 terabyte it is just extending it is just extending to the higher capacity. So in that case your storage performance will get impacted. So this is what your bursting is. It doesn't mean that आपको extra storage नहीं मिलता है, ऐसा बिल्कुल नहीं है. But the second is provision. In provision, what I can do beforehand, I can provision that I will be using 2 terabytes or let us say 5 terabytes of storage. Okay, so now if you are just using the storage more than that, it will not be having any throughput related, or I will say some performance related problem. Okay, let us see what exactly they are talking about. We will talk about these modes as well. Don't worry, because I have started with that throughput mode. See, you can choose from 2 throughput modes for your file system, bursting as well as provision. With bursting throughput and EFS scales as the size of your file system in the standard storage class grows, and this is the default mode. Okay, so problem कुछ नहीं है, वो automatically जा भी रहा है. But in provision throughput, you can instantly provision the throughput of your file system in megabytes per second. Okay, independent of the amount. लेकिन as you have guessed, the storage cost which is associated with the provision throughput is very high as compared to the bursting throughput. Okay, this mode enables you to grow beyond the limits allowed by the bursting throughput mode as well. So this is what the throughput is. Then let us talk about the performance mode. In performance mode, we are having general purpose as well as maximum input out. So from the name itself, we can understand. So general purpose performance mode is recommended for majority of your EFS file system. It works well for latency sensitive use cases like web serving environment and so forth. But max IO mode can scale to higher levels of aggregate throughput and operations per second. Maximum input outputs per second आपको यहाँ मिलता है. So it is used for highly parallelized application and workloads such as big data analytics and media processing. For general workload, general purpose is good. Then we are having storage classes. One is standard and one is infrequent. So just like the S3 now. S3 में भी हमारे पास S3 standard और S3 infrequent access होते हैं, right? So similarly यहाँ भी we can see S3, not S3, EFS standard as well as EFS infrequent access. So it is designed for active file system workload and work well for storing frequently accessed data. And it is for infrequently accessed data. Okay, so this was very important. Now, how is the architecture and the setup? See, if you look at this example, we are going to do the same thing in the demonstration. Now, you can see there are multiple availability zones, right? And in multiple availability zones, there are some instances. Now, you can see these two instances are in availability zone A. Availability zone B does not have any instance, and availability zone C is having one instance. But you can see at availability zone level, we can create something which is known as mount target. And this is your elastic file system. So एक availability zone में आपको खाली एक mount target create करना पड़ता है, and using that mount target, all these EC2 instances will be able to connect to the centralized storage. Even if there is no EC2 instance running in that availability zone, you can create the mount target there. Maybe in future, you are just launching the EC2 instances, they can automatically access this storage as well. Okay. And what is the version of the protocol? NFS. So ये जो mounting हो रहा है यहाँ, network interface, through network interface, it uses NFS protocol, network file system. And the versions which are supported are 4.0 and 4.1. Okay, we call it as NFS version 4. Now, how are you going to do this one? I will show you. We are going to create the elastic file system. Now, folks, we need to create the security group for this elastic file system as well. So, see, when we are going to create this elastic file system, it will again be having the security group, which is wrapping it. Okay, and in that security group, I will allow traffic either from the security group from all these EC2 instances maybe. Okay, so that is one thing. Otherwise, to make it a little bit simple for me in this demonstration, I will simply use all traffic. So I will start with that one. Okay, then we need to create the mount target, as I told you. So those mount target will be created inside the availability zones. Then once the mount target is created, you are going to mount the file system to the mount target using the NFS protocol. And then you are going to connect to the EC2 instance to the mount target. Okay, so these are the steps. Okay, what are the implementations and resources? Create your EC2 resources and launch your EC2 instances. Create your EFS file system. Create your target mounts in appropriate subnet. Create your EC2 instances. Don't worry, I will be showing you this. Okay, so it is not that much difficult. सिर्फ पढ़ते हैं तो difficult लगता है. Okay. And what are the use cases? It is used for storing the home directories of your employees. It is used for enterprise application, application testing and development, for database backup, for web serving and content management, media workflow, as well as big data analytics. These use cases for the elastic file system. Fine. Okay, now what we will do? I will show you the hands-on on this. Okay, so how to use this elastic file system. So I am in my Oregon region. First of all, what I will do, I will go to my security group. I will create one security group for the elastic file system. Let me check whether it is already there. If it is already there, yeah, it is already there. Okay, what I will do, I will just show you what is the configuration. It is EFS security group. Okay, I will just show you how it is created, which ports I have opened. That's all. Okay, it is very simple. No need to create it again. See, if I go to inbound rule and edit inbound rule. So if I simply want to use it for NFS, I will open 2049 port because NFS works on 2049 port. So again, it is more than sufficient. Okay, so if you simply open NFS port for 2049, it will do. Okay, but I just don't want to take any chance. I will just use this for this. Okay, so this is all traffic from anywhere. So I have not changed anything. So this is the security group I am going to use. So now security group is ready, right? So this using this security group, this is my EFS security group in which I have shown you 2049 port is open for NFS. So I will create the file system here. This will be my elastic file system. And now in my example, what I will do, I will select the two EC2 instances from the same availability zone. And here I will create that mount target. Okay. And then I will mount these EC2 instances over here and they can simultaneously access this file system. This is what I'm going to do. Okay. So now what I will do, I will just go to the EC2 instances. Because anyway, I'm just going to use it in the same availability zone maybe. What I will do, I will simply launch the instance. Let us have the name as EFS EC2 instance. I have to select Linux only. Okay, it will not work with Windows. So let me select this. I will use T2.micro. I will use my key pair. I will select it in the default VPC. But what I will do, okay, to A availability zone. Security group. This is just the normal EC2 instances. So let me just select my security group here. Storage as it is. And I will create two instances simultaneously. Because anyway, I'm going to use it in the same. You can use the availability zones, different availability zones as well. Not a problem. Okay, even these instances can belong to different availability zones also. Let me launch these instances. And let us view it. Okay, now see, these two instances got created. Just for my convenience, what I will do, I will just change the label as 1 and this is 2. Okay, fine. So these two EC2 instances I have just created in availability zone A. Okay, so if you go here, both are created in availability zone A. Again, I am repeating, it is not necessary. We have seen in the theory that these EC2 instances can belong to different availability zone as well. But they cannot be in different region. Okay, they cannot be in different region. Okay, now once it is done, we have already created the security group for elastic file system as well. Okay, so that is again created. Now what I will do, I will just go to elastic file system. Okay, let me go to elastic file system. So if I simply search here, EFS, managed file storage for EC2. Let me go there. Create file system. Name, let me give some name. Let us say it is demo EFS. Where I want it to be created, I want it to be created in the default VPC. So just let me select the default VPC. Okay. Now this file system got created and I got one ID as well. Okay. Now this ID is very important. We are going to use it later on. So if I just select this EFS and if I go to details here, view details. If I scroll down, this is the DNS name. I can see the network option. Okay. the network option. Now here, if I go to this manage option, see, it is creating it for all the availability zone. Mount targets. Mount targets are getting created for all the availability zone. I know very well that my EC2 instances are there just in US West 2A. But what is happening, you know, it is, just hold on, try to understand this. क्या हो रहा है कि ये ओरेगन रीजन है, and in Oregon region there are A, B, C and D availability zone. And now यहाँ हम लोग एक EFS create कर रहे हैं. So these targets are getting created for all the availability zone. So यहाँ चाहे कितने भी EC2 instances हो अभी, using that target, it will get connected over here. Okay. So this is, in our case, these are just in single availability. It can be in different availability zone as well. And see, it is also having the IP address associated with it. Perfect. Now what I will do, I will go to this manage option here. And here you can, if I go here, US West 2A, it has taken the default security group. Now I don't want that default because, you know, we have already created our EFS security group, right? So I will simply select this one. Although I'm not using this, no harm if I select EFS security group here as well. Okay. So क्या किया है हमने? Security group लगा दिया है for every availability zone. Fine. Once that is done, I will click the option save. Now what I will do, I will connect to both these EC2 instances simultaneously. And for that, I will use my MobX stub. It becomes easy because I will be connecting it to both the machines. So let me just go to this will be for my first instance, and similarly I will connect to my second instance from this terminal. Okay, so these two terminals are there. So for first EC2 instance, let me just go to EC2 dashboard. These are the two which are created. So let me select first, connect, SSH connect, and let me copy this command. Let me go to the first terminal and let me paste it and let me connect to that instance. Okay, so see, I got connected to the first instance. Similarly, I will go to the second instance as well. So for that, back to instances, let me select second this time, connect, SSH client, copy, and paste. So see, now from this terminal, you can even see the IP addresses. It is showing 172.31.44.135, 172.31.46.207. So these are the two different computers. Okay, now just to make it a little bit easy to understand, I will just clear this screen so that when I'm going to use different command, it will be easy for you to read those. Okay, fine. So these two computers are there. Now what I will do, I will create directory, empty directory in both of this one. Okay, so I will, because I'm going to mount the EFS file system, I must be the root user. So I will use sudo su dash here. And similarly on the second computer also, I will use sudo su dash. So I have logged on with root user on both the machines. So what I will do now, I will just create an empty directory. mkdir. I can give any name. Okay, so just my convenience, I'm using EFS here. Or let us say, you know, it is case sensitive, right? So you can use either small letter, either capital letter, doesn't matter. So I have created it. Where I have created it? I have created it in the home directory of the root user. Okay. So even you can create it in the root directory as well. So similarly here, I will use why I'm using the same name? I can definitely use different name here because this is just the local directory of that computer. Why I'm using the same name? Just I want to save my time because I need not change the command again and again. So on both the computers, now you can see, if I give the ls command here, you will see this EFS directory here and similarly EFS. The name can be different. Okay, it is not necessary that it should be EFS. So this is just the empty directory, and to this directory now, what I have created, empty directory on this, and now I'm going to mount this storage over there. Okay, now how to mount that? Again, AWS has made it very simple. So if I go to my Elastic file system, let me go to that file system once again. And I will go to Viv details. And this is the option. Now I'm going to attach this file system to that directory. Okay, so जो अभी हमने EFS नाम के directories, empty directories बनाए हैं, उसे इसे attach करना है. So if you just click on attach, it has already given me the ready-made command. Okay, it has already given me the ready-made command. So what I will do, I will just customize this. Okay, so let me just copy it and let me paste it here. So I will just use those necessary things which are required in my command. Okay, so I will simply remove this option. You can keep it, no problem, but it will become easy to interpret this command. So as we have seen, it is the mount command. We are using NFS version 4 protocol and we are mounting this file system. This is the DNS name of the file system. Mounting to what? Mounting to the folder. Now, in our case, the name of the folder is /EFS, capital EFS, right? Okay. So this is the command. Now, what I will do, I will simply copy this command. Let me go to the first instance and let me paste it. Okay, it got mounted. So because in our case, the name of the folder is same, I will not change anything here. Simply let me mount it to the second computer as well. And yes, it got mounted. Okay, now let me go to the first instance and let me go to that EFS folder. Okay, right now it is empty. There is nothing there. If I give ls command, it will not give me anything. Now what I will do, I will create some data. For example, let us say touch and file1.txt maybe. Okay. And now I will use cat file1.txt. We will write something in that and let me write hello. From where I am doing this? I am doing this from my first computer. Okay. I am doing this from my first computer. Let me save it. If I simply use cat file1.txt, you will see the file got created. Okay. But now this got created in EFS. And EFS, although it is the local folder here, it is mounted to the Elastic file system. And to that system, again, this computer is also connected, right? So if I just go to cd EFS here, and if I just give the ls command, see that file1.txt is here. If I use cat, let us say file1.txt, you can see that content. Okay, let me do something here. Let us say it is cat file2.txt, which is getting created from the second computer. Something like this. Control D, and let me see the file2.txt. Yes, let us go to the first instance and let us use the ls command And now you can see file 2 is also there. So if I use cat file 2.txt, it should show me that. So see, both, it is not the local storage. If at all it was the local storage, ये दूसरे कंप्यूटर से accessible नहीं होता था. So it is the network storage. So ये जो file 1 और file 2 बने हैं वो यहाँ है और दोनों भी EC2 instances हमारे यहाँ connected है. So they are able to access. This is what the elastic file system. Is it clear, everyone? How elastic file system work? This is the first time I guess I have shown you this demonstration or I have talked about it. So this is what your elastic file system is. Okay. So there is one more demonstration here. I want you to go through this demonstration. Okay. Now, folks, what we will do, we will have a break, 15 minutes break. And after that, I will start with the glacier topic. Okay. So do you have any question? Okay. See you after 15 minutes then, everyone. Thank you.